Hey guys, Mr. A here. I hope you guys are having a good weekend so far. As you all know, milestones are a little bit a month away, so we gotta start getting ready. So it's very important that you're doing these worksheets when I give it to you, so that when we do start reviewing for the milestones, nothing seems new or you haven't forgotten everything. Okay. All right. Let's start with number one. It says a decimal is shown below is 0.555555. As you can see, that 5 is repeated. So we have a repeating decimal. The question is, which of the following statement is true? A says the decimal is irrational because it never terminates. The decimal is irrational because it never terminates. The reason why this is false is because repeating decimals are rational numbers because we can turn them into a fraction. So just because it never terminates, but because it is a repeating decimal, that makes it rational because you can turn repeating decimals into a fraction. And that's what makes B correct, because B says the decimal can be written as the fraction of 5 over 9. And that's what makes that correct. Remember, when we were writing repeating decimal, when we're trying to turn them into fractions, all we have to do is say this is 0.5 repeating. My fraction equals 0.5 repeating, which is what that bar represents. And since there's only one digit repeating, I'm going to multiply both sides by 10. So it'll be this times 10, which is 10f, and this times 10 will be 5.5 repeating. Okay? And then I'm going to subtract both sides by f. And on the right side, I'm subtracting by the value of f, which is 0.5 repeating. So I get 10f minus 1f, which is 9f, equals 5.5 repeating minus 0.5 repeating. So this is going to be 0, and this will be 5. So then I'm going to divide both sides by 9, and I will get f equals 5.0, which is the same thing as 5 over 9, which is what B is. So C is not true because it says the decimal is rational because it terminates. The decimal is rational, but the reason is rational is not because it terminates, because this does not terminate. It's a repeating decimal. And D says the decimal can be written as the fraction of 5 over 10. It will be 5 over 9, not 5 over 10. All right. Number 19 says, which of the following numbers from the list are rational numbers? Choose all that are correct. All right, so 1.14 repeating, we just talked about repeating decimals. We said those are rational numbers because they can be turned into a fraction. The square root of 5 is not a rational number because it doesn't have a perfect square root. The square root of 16 does have a perfect square root, which is 4. So that's what makes that a rational number. 5 over 7 is a fraction, and we know that fractions are rational numbers. Now look at E, 2.6457513111065. So this number doesn't terminate and it doesn't repeat. That's what makes this an irrational number. It doesn't terminate, it keeps going, and you don't really see it doesn't repeat. There's no digits that are constantly repeating. So that's what makes that an irrational number. All right. Question 20 says the diameter of a planet A is 3 times 10 to the power of 15 miles. The diameter of planet B is 6 times 10 to the power of 13 miles. What number goes in the blank to accurately compare the diameter of these planets? All right, so you got to kind of like think of this in a way so you can figure out what the math you need to do here is. So this is saying a number times this is going to equal this. So if that doesn't make sense to you, you can represent it with variables. I can say a number, which could be x, times this. Let's say this is 2. I'm making up 2 just to make it easier. Equals this. Let's say this is 6. So the way I would solve this, x times 2 equals 6. The way I would get my x is I would divide 2 on both sides to figure out what x is going to be. So you're doing the same thing here. This times this equals this. For me to figure out what this is, I need to divide this on both sides. So I'm going to divide 6 times 10 over the power of 13 on both sides. So on my right side, I'm going to have 3 times 10 to the power of 15 divided by 6 times 10 to the power of 13. All right? So I'm going to get 3 divided by 6, which is half, and half is 0.5. And then I'm going to have 10 to the power of 15 divided by 10 to the power of 13. Remember, when the bases are the same in division, you subtract the exponent. So it will be 0.5 times 10 to the power of 15 minus 13, which equals 2. Okay, so 0.5 times 10 to the power of 2 in standard notation would be 0.5. Since this is a positive, I'm moving to the right 2 times. 1, 2. Then I fill in my zeros, so that makes that 50. And that's how we got C, which is 50. All right, guys, when you turn this in, make sure you're showing work. So now let's get to the back of that worksheet. And this back is dealing with angles in a triangle, which is what we started on Friday, but I know for a lot of the classes we didn't finish. So this is just kind of to help you guys fully understand it, and so we can be finished with it. Okay? So one thing we definitely learned on Friday was that all 3 interior angles of a triangle adds up to 180. So for me to find this, I just need to add 65 plus 57 and subtract by 80. All right. So 65 plus 57 is 122. So it'll be 180 minus 122, which is 58. So this angle right here is going to be 58. All right. Number 2, the same thing applies. All interior angles of a triangle adds up to 180. They gave us 40 degrees. If you see a right angle like this, you know that represents 90 degrees. So I have 40 plus 90, which is 130. Then I'm going to do 180 minus 130, which should be 50. Okay. Number 3, we're doing the same thing. All 3 interior angles of a triangle adds up to 180. 130 plus 20 is 150. And 180 minus 150 is 30. All right. Number 4, same rule applies. So this is going to be this plus this minus 180. 85 plus 50. 85 plus 50 equals 135. So 180 minus 135 is 45. So this angle is going to be 45. So that's one thing that we definitely got to on Friday. Now, for some of you guys, we did not get to the exterior angle part of a triangle, and how to figure out what the exterior angles is. Okay, so we said that all the interior angles of a triangle equals 180. The exterior angle of a triangle, which is the angle on the outside, equals the 2 interior angles that are non-adjacent to the exterior angles. Okay? So for me to find out what this angle is, all I have to do is find out what the other angle right here is. This plus this is going to equal this. The exterior angle of a triangle equals the 2 interior angles that are non-adjacent. And adjacent just means beside it. So I can't use the angle, this angle beside it, but I can use the other 2 that is not beside it. But here, they only gave me 102. They didn't give me what this is. For me to figure out what this angle right here is, I just need to subtracted from 180 because the exterior angle and the adjacent angle equals up to 180. So that 137, I'm going to subtract it from 180. So it'll be 180 minus 137, which is 43. So this angle right here is 43. Now that I know that my two interior angle that is not adjacent to this exterior angle is 102 plus 43, and 102 plus 43 is 145. So all I need, so I know that this angle right here is going to be 145. Okay, so the way I did that again is I found what this angle was, and I added it together to this to get this. Okay, so let's look at this one. Again, we're looking for this exterior angle. I know that the exterior angle is going to be the sum of the two interior angles that are not adjacent. So I need to figure out what this angle is. So they tell me this angle right here is 35, and this angle are vertical angles, and vertical angles are congruent, so I know that this is going to be 35 also. All right? So 35 plus 100 is 135. So I know that this angle right here is going to be 135. All right? This one is quite easy because we're looking for this exterior angle, and we know that the exterior angle is going to be the sum of the two interior angles that are non-adjacent. Okay, so 30 plus 20 is 50, so this is going to be 50. And last one, we're looking for this exterior angle again. I know that the sum of the exterior angles is going to be the sum of the two interior angles that are non-adjacent. So I need to know what this is. They don't give me this, but like I said, I see a straight line. They tell me this outside angle is 155. So this inside angle must be 180 minus 155. And 180 minus 155 is 25. So if that inside angle is 25, this exterior angle is going to be 25 plus 60, which is 85. And that is pretty much it. And this is really all we need to know as far as angles in a triangle. Number one, you need to know that the three interior angles equals 180. And then the exterior angles equals the sum of the two interior angles that are non-adjacent. Okay, I'm gonna go over this a little bit more on Monday, but if you know it now, it's gonna save us a lot of time. All right, have a good rest of your weekend, and I'll see you guys on Monday.